located approximately within 1 mile of the ETJ north of the Walmart. The request is to subdivide one lot into 3. P&Z approved the preliminary plat on November 6th. The plat approved with the Wilson County Development Review Committee on April 3rd, 2014. The plat does address the drainage, the water, which will be supplied by Oak Hills. Sewage is going to be by a septic system that will follow Wilson County's regulation. Electrical is available at the site as per Phelps' letter that stated. TxDOT notes on the plat showing that the developer will follow the regulations TxDOT requires, that they require for access and drainage. Our city engineer, Mr. Heimer, reviewed the final plat on March 28, 2014, and his comments were that the city recommends approval in condition that upon receiving the original final plat mylars with all the necessary signatures of the owner, surveyor, engineer, Oak Hill, Phelps, Verizon, and TxDOT. Actually, we had to take out TxDOT because TxDOT does not have a signature line, just the notes. The owner's signatures will need to be notarized, and they have brought in the minor plat actually today with all the necessary signatures. Just to give you, not so much that it's a concern, but to let you know that this proposed plat will not have any services from the city of Floresville. No water, no trash, police, or sewer. However, it is a requirement, being that it's in our ETJ, that they be platted. Any questions?
What's the purpose of the property?
They are planning to do,
Storage.
they're planning to do like a medical type, sorry, medical type businesses in there.
So it's going to be a commercial business?
Yes.
Like an office building?
Office building?
Yes.
Like a series of office buildings or just one big office building?
I was told by the owners that they're saying medical office building.
They're not asking for any variances or anything?
No, sir.
Legal, what's your take on it?
Approved. It's within the requirement to be approved outside of the body.
And everyone's in compliance to say that we're not going to be that they know that we're not going to be supplying any type of
Correct.
utilities or anything to them?
And I believe it was approved on that condition.
Yes. It is noted on the plat. Yes, sir.
That last sheet of your handout has
I'll go ahead and make the motion to approve the final plat of 10.62 acres S&J erosion tract 137J 137K on Highway 181.
I have a motion, can I have a second?
second.
Okay, I have a motion by Councilman Rodriguez, second by Councilman Guerrero, all in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carries 3-0. Okay. And lastly on the agenda, 3G, consideration and action to approve the final plat of the SCC Floresville Partners LTD for the property at the address of 908 10th Street.
Okay, I'm going to give you a rundown of this plat. The city of Floresville received a letter of submittal from the developer of SCC on April 8, 2014. The legal address of the said property is 908 10th Street. If y'all are not familiar, it is, we like to call it the Four Corners, where the old WINS, the FISD, formerly the FISD admin building. The developer plans to build a retail convenience store at this lot. These are my comments. All comments from TxDOT have been addressed. According to Mr. Heimer, he has accepted these comments that have been dated on March 26. There is water available at this site. There are existing water easements, which is shown on the plat, water and sewer. There is electrical easements that are noted on the plat as well. It's not in the packet that you have. They did, the developer did some cleanup on that portion of the plat, It is on the Mylar plat that they presented. In summary to this report, the city's engineer, Mr. Heimer, recommends approval of this plat. On the standpoint of the access to this property will require the developer to submit for driveway permits with TxDOT. There are existing access points to this property, and any improvements done for the driveways will require permits from TxDOT. There is notes on the no objection letter. Please review the notes to no objection letter of March 26th, which does say on their maximum, they have 3 maximum access points. The notes show that TxDOT will allow right in, right out access. On those, there's 2 restricted points. It has been presented to P&Z regular scheduled meeting on April 9th, but the item was tabled due to lack of votes necessary for action. 2 of its members, Mr. Vipon and Ms. Hardy, abstained due to their association with this property. The only members left to vote was Chris and Ray Lambert, which was not enough for the needed 3 votes to take action. Jim Lawhon was absent due to his work schedule. So therefore, we scheduled a special meeting on April 17th, but was denied due to lack of information from their representative. We did have a special meeting scheduled today on April 24th, and it was approved by the P&Z with 3 votes, with 2 abstaining votes from Ms. Harley and Mr. Vipon.
Some of the questions that they had were answered.
Yes, I want to let y'all know that P&Z took very much careful consideration to the citizens of Floresville, to the staff, to the mayor and council on making sure that the plat meets all the requirements, what is required to have this plat done, okay? And they did address, they had a lot of questions specifically on the access, the access to that property. The developers were here, and their engineer was here to answer a lot of their questions. They were satisfied with what they had, and they voted to approve it.
The existing building will be demolished
Yes,
completely.
completely. They still have to follow permitting on getting the asbestos abatement for that. They still have to follow all the permitting, the building permits, and again, like I said, the TxDOT permits. They need to make sure that if there's any variances needed, they still need to come forward on doing that.
The plat that's in our package isn't the current one, correct?
That's actually just the concept plan. That's very old. That's just something that they threw out for us just to give us an idea. The actual plat is, there's a printout, another bigger printout that you have, plus we have the Mylar in the back. But the Mylar is the more cleaner one with the actual electrical easements that they got with Phelps on.
Yeah, because the one that I saw didn't have, or it addressed more gas pumps onto the right-hand side.
Yeah.
Up until today, I still had citizens coming up and asking me, they're more concerned about the traffic, what they were doing with the traffic. But I assured them after I read, the studies they did a thorough
Yes, sir.
evaluation of the traffic, and they could still be safe.
Yes, and we got emails from the developer presented to us actually this evening from TxDOT that they're pleased with what they have, what they're going to be doing, that they're going to go forward with the driveway permits, and of course all the improvements that are going to be done in that area. It's, to me, my opinion is it's going to be better because what's existing there, it's just concrete. So the developer's going to be making a lot of improvements to that.
Well, what I've read is that there will be a deceleration lane as well, provided on the TxDOT approval and I.
Just on one side,
Yeah.
right?
But I think it's going to be a convenient location, because there's nothing really on the northbound lane, heading, just on the northbound lane. I think it'd be definitely a good location, and I don't think that it would pose any more threat than or traffic than what is already at the, in that general area.
Yeah, TxDOT is along with the city, they looked at all the technical issues. Our engineers, their engineers, they're gonna make sure that it's not gonna be a threat or a safety issue for the city.
Now, it still has to go back to planning and zoning, correct, after the, for the construction, or?
No.
Okay,
This
so
is-
this is it?
Yes.
Okay.
Just one question, Cindy, on the driveway permits, it says it'll have to be signed by the property owners, is that around the area there, I mean, that's existing?
We actually talked about that tonight. If y'all want to kind of explain that a little bit more? Are you talking about they have to get permission from all the property owners?
Some of the documents you provide, like on 2-2, that says all driveway permits to frontage owned by others will need to be co-signed by the property.
Well,
Maybe
actually-
something that like that doesn't create a hurdle down the road, if you haven't had those signatures. or-
No, because they're easements. Those are easements.
Okay.
So, and like, those are easements that are there for the access. So those, those are already there for them. So
Their access easements or
Yes.
utility easements?
they're access. Actually, they're both, really. That one side is both, access and utility.
It's owned by the county. And I went to that meeting and I learned a new word. They're putting up pork chop. Do you want to explain what a pork chop is?
It's the curb in the middle of the driveway that prevents drivers from making left turns into or out of the development to control an access point, to right in and right out. They are very tasty, but for traffic control.
Can I get a motion?
I'd like to make a motion to approve the final plat of the SEC Floresville Partners LTD for the property at the address of 908 10th Street.
Okay, may I have a second?
I'll second.
Can I have a motion by Councilman Guerrero, second by Councilman Rodriguez, all in favor?
Mayor, you beat me to the punch, but I suggested that be conditioned on complying with all the terms and conditions of TxDOT.
I think that's written on there. I think it's already written on there, it says that.
It's written on these documents, I'm just saying, I suggested a motion to do that.
Okay.
I don't think they have any problem with that, they're planning to do that.
We are planning on doing that. Those conditions, as we discussed in the planning and zoning meeting, are for the permits for the drives themselves, not for the use of the property. So that's, as we explained, that's the secondary phase for just the driveway permits through the municipality of TxDOT. It doesn't have anything to do with the planning and zoning elements that we're voting on tonight.
So as read?
I'm sorry?
So as read,
As
or?
read with the recommendations.
The recommendation to be approved. The reason I'm saying that, I'm not trying to be coy about this, we had a full and complete discussion in P and Z, and there's in your packet, there's a March 26th letter, and it makes reference to a March 21st review, and then we got documents tonight that explained that on April 14th, that review was conducted, and while I was stepped out, Mayor, I was talking to Mr. Hoffman, and they want to make sure that our approval goes forward as far as TxDOT's concerned. I want to make sure that your approval conditions it, so there's no question that when Cindy gets a permit request, she can see that all the TxDOT stuff required has been accomplished, and then she has a basis for going forward on her building permit.
Which is gonna be just plain and simple approved by TxDOT.
So, well, let me redo that. Motion to approve the final plat of SEC Floresville Partners LTD for the property at the address of 908 10th Street with the conditions that are met with the TxDOT requirements.
TxDOT requirements is set out in their TIA, I think is what we call it, form, isn't it?
Yes, sir.
Gentlemen?
All right, what if that's it?
I'll second the motion.
Okay, all in favor? All opposed? Motion carries 3-0.
And Mayor Council, if I may politely ask if y'all could stay after and sign the plaques.
Yes, this is 9:05.
You gotta be careful.